Thank you. This may be the most important speech I've ever made. I want to provide an update on our ongoing efforts to expose the tremendous voter fraud and irregularities which took place during the ridiculously long November 3rd elections.
They seem to be using a strategy that Vladislav Surkov had developed in the Ukraine. He called it non-linear warfare. It was a new kind of war, where you never know what the enemy are really up to.
Allahu Akbar.
The underlying aim, Surkov said, was not to win the war, but to use the conflict to create a constant state of destabilized perception in order to manage and control.
Allahu Akbar.
I'm definitely in the camp. I believe that there will be another crisis. It will be more significant.
Because this crisis will be with us until we really have found a remedy. So we have to prepare for a more angry world, and how to prepare? It means to take the necessary action.
I think, what is this issue about just being in a ghetto where all you're hearing is a reverberation of people that agree with you, or at least part of the spectrum that agrees with you? How much do you think it hurts getting that message out? Because remember, 30% of our show is Democrats. When we do Vox Populi, Raheem, you've been here, when we get the calls, half the calls are from people that were Democrats or working class Democrats or were Democrats before they started listening to the show. Is there that problem or that issue in Rumble and Parler, as great as these platforms are, and these entrepreneurs should really have an attaboy for putting this together, putting the capital together, this technology together? Are you concerned, particularly someone that you at the National Pulse, you write at a quality that is equivalent to the mainstream media? Are you concerned that you get ghettoized?
How do you do, internet friends? Sorry for not doing a video for so long on this exciting time, on these exciting subjects. We're going to talk about the Pentagon halting transition briefings, which seemingly point to some dastardly, wonderful coup by the forces of freedom within the Pentagon. We're going to discuss that. But before we do, let's discuss the time and date. It is the 18th of December. It is Friday, Central Standard Time, USA, at 12:55 p.m. Before we go on, if you don't know who I am, my name is Brendon Lee O'Connell. I am obviously an Australian citizen, mate. On the run. Yes, I'm on the run. I'm in Mexico, Central America, or South America. Take your pick from some of those locations. I have had asylum in Iran, literal asylum to work with government analysts at the Persian Gulf Study Center. I left in absolute disgust at what I saw in Iran. It is a fraud.
It's Brendon O'Connell, the bell tower boy, beating my local West Australian rag to the scoop. I'm reporting live from Tehran, the northern suburb of Tadrish, home of the famous bazaars and shopping district of Tehran. Behind me is one of the large hospitals, and a Mr. Rafsanjani, if you'd remember, who ran against former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad almost 12 years ago, has just died, literally, just now. So it's big news. People fill the streets, the media's here. So that's a bit of history for Iran, and Tehran has just passed away. A very well-known personality here, and Johnny on the spot, the bell tower boy, always bringing you the news first. So ciao for now. Hold our fizz. I'm in the head. It's Brendon O'Connell, the bell tower boy, in Tehran, the head of the funeral procession for former President Mr. Rafsanjani.
Rouhani and Zarif work for the Royal Institute of International Affairs, Chatham House, good old Tavistock Institute / Lord Jacob Rothschild himself. If you want to know more, simply go to my Rumble channel or my Brighteon channel and watch video 5. Number 5, Trump versus COVID 2020 and the forced economic collapse of America. And you will see what I see and so few others see. I've been to Iran. I was there 3 months. I was treated like a rock star. I had asylum. I was staying with friends of the foreign minister, Zarif. You've never heard of me. And all I get is that I'm mentally ill and a horrible person. And we're going to explain why that is very soon. I have the biggest espionage case in history you've never heard of. I had the biggest hate speech trial in history where I introduced material about Israeli spying, espionage and subversion.
A Perth man who posted an anti-Jewish video on the internet has been jailed for 3 years. The victim of the racist rant says the sentence isn't long enough.
This is the racist video that shocked Perth's Jewish community.
Your days are numbered, and we're going to rescue as many of your victim cult members as we can.
2 young Jewish men bullied relentlessly the 15-minute rant posted on YouTube.
You are racist, homicidal maniacs.
Today, the man responsible, Brendon O'Connell, was jailed for 3 years after being convicted of race hate crimes. It's believed he's the first person in the state to be found guilty under new racial vilification laws. The judge described him as a bully who has an irrational hatred of Jews. One of the men victimised in the video says O'Connell has made his life hell and that the sentence is inadequate.
Wish it was going for longer. I've been harassed continuously for the last 18 months.
But the jail term's been welcomed by the Jewish community.
I think it was a victory for decency and against bigotry and prejudice. On future occasions it could be Muslims or Asians or any group, and so we should all be happy about this result.
There was extra security in the courtroom for the sentencing. After being told he would serve 3 years in jail, O'Connell yelled out, "That's a holiday camp compared to Gaza." O'Connell will spend at least 18 months behind bars before he's eligible for parole. Tegan Sapwell at 10 News.
It's never been done in history. I had the Israeli state come out against me, the Israeli ambassador, the Israeli deputy foreign minister, the entire Australian political class. And you have never, ever heard of me. Or if you have, it's been that Brendon O'Connell is a horrible, mentally ill man who's impossible to deal with. You'll work out why, and I'll tell you why. Because most of the internet are a bunch of fucking frauds who work. As Patrick Berge kindly explained to us all on Shadowgate, we have thousands of direct employees and tens of thousands of indirect employees running channels, running multiple channels, running groups, running around, harassing, lying, cheating and bad-mouthing true patriots, true truth tellers. You'll work it out. I have a UN asylum application below. we're going to go through it briefly and you'll understand what's going on. So as things unfold, particularly the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, cyber pandemic stuff, you'll understand who was onto it 15 years ago and has been screaming in the wilderness ever since, only to be told it's all a load of shit. O'Connell's mentally ill. The Telpiot program is a nothing burger, and on and on and on. You're gonna get it. Brendon's time is coming. It's a very personal thing for me. I've sacrificed a lot. I've had my bones broken. I've been to jail for 3 years over this matter. I've had nothing but shit from morons who come and want to help and then simply show that they have got serious mental health issues, won't do as they're told, tell you they're going to do everything that they're told, and then go and do the exact opposite. It's not because they're agents of the Illuminati. It's because there's a lot of mentally ill, fucked up, sociopathic, personality disordered people on the internet, if you haven't noticed. My worldview and my psychic profile and my psychology is on the world for all to see in my UN refugee application, which you can see right here. All my passport, driver's license, obviously sensitive details blacked out, and you can see everything you need to see. And we're going to briefly go over it, and then eventually I'm going to read directly chapter from chapter. And by the time you've read that document, it's 1,018 pages, but you don't have to read all of it. A lot of it is backup material, reference material. You will go, my God, O'Connell, anyone that calls you mentally ill, anybody that badmouths you, anybody, after you've read that, you will understand who and what they are. Let's get back to the scoop. Pentagon halts Biden transition briefings. Does it mean anything? Absolutely not. It's a crock of shit, and I'll explain why. When you're understanding what's going on, you're not going to understand. Tactically, right now, it is impossible to understand what is going on. It's impossible. But from the grand strategy point of view, I personally know, and perhaps you know, exactly what's going on, which is the breakup of the United States, the separation of the United States from Eurasia. Eurasia, that is Russia, China, Israel and Iran will run Eurasia. Israel is top dog and will run the rest through technology transfer. That technology transfer will come from the United States, as it's been going for the last 40 plus years, much longer than that. That's the basic theme. Now that they've broken off the US, the tech transfers will continue via Israel. This will make Israel incredibly rich. It will build up the Middle East into greater Israel. You will see massive infrastructure projects going in, and the United States, North and South America will be built up with their infrastructure programs. There will be a Cold War 2.0 standoff between the evil Chinese communist paper dragon who couldn't fight its way over a wet paper bag. It's only good for organ harvesting and beating up Falun Gong housewives. They get built up. They've got robots and drones. America goes, oh my God, we'll need robots and drones too. And come Agenda 2030, they're going to turn those robots on us. That is the grand strategy that is happening right now. It doesn't make a dime's worth of fucking difference whether it's Donald Trump or Biden. You saw Bibi. He said that straight out. We don't care, Biden or Trump. They'll just do exactly what we tell them. And you still haven't woken up. Trump and Biden are fucking irrelevant. They are actors. They're simple employed actors.
Sure. If it benefits them to attack Trump, they will attack Trump. If it benefits them to use Trump to hurt their enemies, they will use Trump to hurt their enemies. It has nothing to do with politics. It's all very sociopathic. It's nothing to do with politics. It's all about power and profit. People got to get the politics out of their mind with it. Once you can accept that, it starts making sense.
All you got to worry about is the Pentagon. Let's get back to this article. So everyone's getting excited. Pentagon halts Biden transition briefings. The meaning being that what's actually happening is what they think is happening is this is indicative that the Pentagon is putting its foot down. And I would love to believe that. In fact, only the Pentagon can put its foot down. Acting Defense Secretary Chris Miller ordered a Pentagon-wide halt to cooperation with the transition of President-elect Biden, shocking officials across the Defense Department, senior administration officials tell Axios. Behind the scenes, a top Biden official was unaware of the directive. Administration officials left open the possibility cooperation would resume after a holiday pause. The officials were unsure what prompted Miller's action or whether President Trump approved. Okay, so behind the scenes, according to Axios, a top Biden official was unaware of the directive. So that's meant to show us that something big is going on. Trump's going to slay this dragon. Why it matters. Miller's move, which stunned officials throughout the Pentagon, was the biggest eruption yet of animus and mistrust towards the Biden team from the top level of the Trump administration. Meetings between President Trump's team and the Biden team are going on throughout the government after a delayed start as the administration dragged its feet on officially recognizing Biden as president-elect. Then on Thursday night, Miller, who was appointed November 9 when Trump fired Defense Secretary Mark Esper right after the election, ordered officials throughout the building to cancel scheduled transition meetings. A senior Defense Department official sought to downplay the move, calling it a, quote, simple delay of the last few scheduled meetings until after the new year. Quote, we had fewer than 24 remaining meetings on the schedule today and next week, the official said, adding that the DoD staff working the meetings were overwhelmed by the number of meetings. These same senior leaders needed to do their day jobs and were being consumed by transition activities. With the holidays, we are taking a knee for 2 weeks. We are still committed to a productive transition. So what they're saying is the other side of the story is that, no, we're just having a break and there's nothing to see here. But this will be another distraction. No, there was no gun battle in Germany to get the Dominion service. It's horseshit. All right, there's nothing going on. This is just about keeping bums in seats and you entertained and intrigued. The bottom line is no matter what is happening tactically, the bottom line is it doesn't fucking matter. All that matters is that Israel will continue to fuck everyone over and continue the technology transfer. That's all. This is just a technology transfer transition and nobody's going to stop it, not because it's not impossible to stop, but because you won't get a clue and continue to fall for this horseshit. It is not about taking a side and being a fanboy for Biden or a fanboy for Team Trump, which is basically being a fanboy for the right or left arms of JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. Get it through your thick fucking skull. Wall Street runs America. The banks run America. The Federal Reserve runs America. Donald Trump runs shit. And neither does that deviant scumbag Biden. Biden and Trump are one deviant scumbag compared to the other deviant scumbag, and which one isn't as big a deviant scumbag? In which case, I told you, by all means, vote for Trump, but only because so many military were behind him, and you were to utilize that to educate the military. Trump is irrelevant. The military is everything. Period. Imagine being a fanboy of a clown like Trump and a clown like Biden. You should be ashamed of yourself. You've got to get cold, hard political. And I mean cold, to the bone cold. Kissinger cold. No matter what it takes. You want the military to do their fucking job. Do I wish this story at the Pentagon was true? You bet I wish it was true. Do I wish there was a gun battle in Germany between the forces of good and evil with Captain America against the Winter Soldier? Of course I do. It didn't happen. It never happened. It's horseshit. Now, mixing a lot of truth with a lot of shit, because that's how you always do it. Patrick Berge, God bless him, showed us in Shadowgate. There are tens of thousands of direct and indirect employees. There are people running these narratives. It's called psychological warfare propaganda. And it's about fucking time people stopped it. Just stop it already. You got to educate the military. It's never too late to start. Don't ask me to do it for you. Work it out your damn self. But I'm going to go through now the materials I've produced over the last 4 years in particular to show you how far fucking behind the average clueless idiot is. There are people with millions of views, hundreds of thousands of views, and they're fucking clueless. And I mean literally clueless. They're meant to be. They're meant to promote empty, vacuous shit, and other people are just sidelined and made to feel like crap, and their accounts are deleted, their computers don't work, and there's a whole host of problems. Never-ending problems, or they literally run out of their own country. And by understanding my case, you will understand, and how suppressed it is, you will understand what a load of shit the internet is. I had the Israeli state come out against me personally. Never happened ever in history. No one gave a shit. I had the biggest hate speech trial in history with professors of Jewish civilization studies, Rabbi David Frulich, Orthodox rabbi from the Israeli Supreme Court building, live in Jerusalem. No one gave a shit. No one's done a single analysis. All transcripts released. They won't even mention my name. Jewish communities won't mention my name. You won't even find my trial anywhere. Try and find it. See if you can find it. You're going to understand, and you'll understand even more when you knew this, when we quickly go over some aspects of my UN application, and you will go, like so many do, how the effing hell have you been hidden this long? Now, please remember, the links to all my material is below. YouTube's deleted me for the 15th time. I'm not doing it again. I'm not building it up again. I'm going to keep all the good videos off-site. I want to go over one video in particular we want to start. But before that, actually, we need to do something. We need to look at something. This was sent to me by a friend. This is Claire Wills Harrison. Now, I know nothing about her till recently, but she's got quite a big following, and she's going to get into how she's seen the light, and she's so clever, and she knows everything about Dominion and all the hacking. Listen to this. I won't get time to do a live. I guess that's slang for a live stream. Things are moving fast at home, so I wanted to post this, which I would have discussed on live. Christine Yvonne Malina Maxwell, which is Miss Maxwell of Epstein Maxwell, is a British internet content pioneer and educator, best known as the creator and co-founder of Magellan. Maxwell also co-founded the software company Chiliad, so this is the sister of our favourite Ghislaine. SolarWinds Orion software interfaces with Sentinel, the FBI system developed and created by Chiliad. Yes, that's right, the FBI used a system created by Ghislaine Maxwell's sister. I wouldn't buy a beer from that family, but the FBI used their systems, and now SolarWinds have been hacked and compromised. You couldn't make this up. Now, I don't know why that was then sent to me, or who she is, but that's probably a good example of the wonders. People think, wow, we're cutting edge. Cutting edge? Cutting edge? You think so? Let me tell you what they all miss and don't talk about. Every single thing you're going to see to do with the World Economic Forum and the cyber pandemic that Klaus Schwab, I warned you about 4 years ago. In fact, 15 years ago, and I'll show you. From jail in 2012, writing a High Court synopsis to die for. And no one gave a shit. But this is going to break out. And you're going to have a lot of these arranged jockeys. A lot of them won't even know. They'll just get some information, think they're the bee's knees, and go, look at me, everyone. Look how cutting edge I am. And others who've done a lot of work in the past will just fade into the distance, and no one will have ever heard of them. That's what Whitney's web job is. She's being groomed for the big job, because this information is going to get out there about Israel.
That within the next 200 years, we're going to a very serious deep ice age. I think Alex's point is that in all of these things, there are legitimate things. You know, COVID has, there are real things, people are getting sick. Global warming, you know, to an extent, I'm sure is happening. Of course it's happening. But then there are also nefarious characters that want to use that to take away your freedom. There are people that don't want you owning a car. There's all these legacy systems. Whitney Webb, who's a journalist who came on my show, said,
May 21st, 2016, in Houston, Texas. This is an anti-Islam protest outside a mosque in the heart of downtown. And literally across the street, a counter-rally. But not a single person here on either side of the street realises they've been duped. They've been brought here, same place, same time, by two separate Facebook events. Posts which we now know both came from the same source, thousands of miles outside Texas, in Russia.
Активные мероприятия.
Cold War-style active measures in the American heartland in 2016. The same techniques, the same origin, even the same perpetrators.
I own this. I own it. They're gonna drag this out of my cold, dead hands. That's the only reason I even want to live anymore. So I want to watch this for those of you who haven't watched a lot, but you just watch all my videos. Some of them are very highly produced. But I want to watch one of my faves, the first big one I did back in January 2018. And that is Israel's secret weapon, the Talpiot program, How Israel Rules. This video originally got 250,000 views before they shut it down. Why did it get so many views? Well, it wasn't because I was so amazing, it's because the people at YouTube decided to share it because it was so important. You will also see my case highlighted in there. I did this from a little hotel room in Chinatown, Kuala Lumpur. I'd just been released from jail from New Zealand, where they refused to even look at my asylum application, but they refused to send me back home to Australia to deport me there. Malaysia flew me back free of charge, very nicely, with an escort. And I made this video. I made it without, you can hear all the p and buts because I had no, oh boy, I should really turn this down. Sorry, I just realised how loud this is. I had no cover on no windsock over my recording device. It's terrible sound, but this is just an example of what I managed to produce with nothing. And then I want you to see how far ahead of time it was. And I want you to look at all the things the online heroes don't tell you. And I want you to look at Daniel Lewin. If you want to learn Israel's domination, I want us to look at Daniel Lewin, the first man to die on 9/11. Israeli military intelligence, Daniel Lewin, MIT, and Akamai, which distributes the internet node.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's Brendon O'Connell, the Bell Tower Boy, coming to you from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. It is Monday the 29th of January. Today we're going to be talking about Israel and how it rules. It rules because of the Talpiot program, the specific high technology program started in the late 19th.
I want you to look at that guy, Zohar Zissapel. We have pushed him night and day. Whitney Webb won't mention his name. This guy, all the critical infrastructure they're talking about now, all the hacking of the critical infrastructure, well, that's the guy who's running it. Vast swathes of Israeli intelligence, military intelligence companies, and Zohar Zissapel is the biggest. And you've never heard of him because none of these effing clowns online will mention his name. You think about that.
To put Israeli military intelligence officers in high positions of corporate power and to dominate the high technology sector. And this is why you see people like Benjamin Netanyahu who can slaughter at will and still be welcomed into countries, doing contracts galore all over the world. Why? The Talpiot program. They dominate the high technology world, databases, encrypted communications, government, military, it doesn't matter, civilian, corporate world.
Come on, think about this, what I'm saying 3 years ago in terms of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab and cyber pandemic. Think about it. This should have gone everywhere. Everywhere. It should have been on all of the main players' lips. They should have talked about it. They wouldn't even mention my fucking name. You're going to have to work out no one is real. A real person, a real journalist or a real serious player would have looked at my stuff and gone, Well, after reading O'Connell's documents, the guy's been through fucking hell. Of course he's pissed off, and he's right to be pissed off, and he's right to be angry at these lying pieces of garbage online. Little Whitney Webb, he's hurt me, he's very mean to me. If she was a journalist, she wouldn't care. Do you seriously think any serious journalist would pass up my story? You're going to see why. If you don't know who I am, you're going to freak out. I'm the only man to ever have the Israeli state come out against him personally. You'll just go, how could I not have heard of you? Well, it's called the internet suppressing things because it's not free. Okay? It's not free. It's highly controlled. They don't hate me. I exposed the biggest espionage case in history. I put a bow on it, took other people's stuff, collected it all together, put it in a high-profile court case, and all hell broke loose.
A Maylands man has pleaded not guilty to inciting racism after posting comments on YouTube. 39-year-old Brendon O'Connell is the first person to be arrested under WA's racial vilification law.
This is actually very big, bigger than you think. They haven't got a hope in hell. Seriously.
Mention my name. Look at Cynthia McKinney. You have a body of work to be proud of, Brendon. Won't mention my name. Hanging out with NATO psychological warfare officer Robert David Steele. Have you worked it out yet? You got to watch my video, Rats in the Ranks. The link is below. Rats in the Ranks. Watch all three, and you'll understand the internet. This is ahead of its time. And when all these clowns come out to play with their 1 million subscribers, their 100,000 subscribers, I'm going to be there to go, not true. You're 4 years late, boyo.
Matter, they literally control everything. This is just a quick introduction. I'm here in front of the Petronas Twin Towers, a big landmark in Kuala Lumpur, of course, a very modern metropolis. A very modern metropolis. It's a dissident paradise. Ladies and gentlemen, you must understand the Telpiot program.
God, I love Kuala Lumpur. It's my favourite city. It's green, lush, and it's cheap as crap. And it's got technology everywhere. It's a dream place, right in the middle of everything.
Importance.
One small problem. It's run by the Chinese Communist Party. So if you plan on taking on the CCP and Israel and China's relationship, well, it's not the best place to be, unfortunately.
And the domination of Israel of the high technology. It doesn't need a nuclear weapon because the nuclear weapon is their ability to switch off your infrastructure.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. 3 years ago, the nuclear weapon is their ability to switch off your infrastructure. Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum, hello? You know, I'd just like I know people come to me and very interesting people and slap me on the back and say, well done, but I want you to understand that if you just watch my stuff, you'll go, how is this guy not a household name, number one? How is it this guy, well, look, I have to accept some responsibility. I was very intolerant of people. I was always about political, getting people out the front of military bases. If I had my time over, I would have played it completely different. I would have just been nice and passive and just organically let it move out. Because when I tried to reach out of my cage to try and influence the world, it was just a disaster. There were people there whose job was to stop that happening. They did not want direct contact between this issue and the military, this issue and policing, this issue and intelligence. They didn't want it. They wanted to control the release of this information. It will come out. Remember, you don't know it, but I was approached by the highest levels of intelligence, asked, virtually recruited, and then I refused to take part. And I can go into that. In fact, I have gone into it in my UN document. If you read it, it's a fucking Born Identity movie. Except it's real.
And in closing, before we get into the video, a nice 15-minute short one.
That's a lie, O'Connell. It's 40 minutes.
Just remember the two Spectre and Meltdown bugs that were flaws found in Intel CPUs. That was deliberate flaws put in by the Israeli state in their very nice, highly sophisticated CPU fabrication factory, where it designs and manufactures the latest Intel CPUs. They put those bugs in so that they would have access to the world's databases and the world's high technology sector infrastructure, which is hooked into the internet.
Hello, Klaus Schwab, just think about it, think about it. Whitney Webb watched this video. Did Whitney Webb send you to this video? Did Whitney Webb say, Brendon O'Connell has done an amazing job, he's a very angry man and I can sort of understand, and my name's Whitney Webb and I'm a professional journalist and I want to do a journalistic piece on this. No, she won't do a damn thing. She knows who I am. She won't even acknowledge my damn name. She's so shitty because she works for someone.
They did it, and Netanyahu deliberately released that information. And we should very much wonder about Assange and Snowden. I don't know their real story. I'm not saying their plans, but what they've done a lot of is to scare people, particularly Snowden, and to let people know we are watching. You better watch what you say and what you do.
And of course, Snowden is a complete fraud, a man whose the word Israel never leaves his lips, a man who writes a book on high technology and then fails to mention Israel. The word Israel or Israeli is not even in his book. I mean, if ever you wanted a fraud, it's Snowden. It took me a long time to make up my mind about him, but he is full of shit. Assange, I think, was for real, but possibly handled. He's a shithead and he's a shit stirrer. He's a radical. I don't believe he was a cunning plot from the beginning, but he was clearly handled. And I'm going to go into that. I want to do a very good video on Assange to show you, and many of you already know, particularly Pengo, the East German hacker who was working for the KGB, who Assange was involved with, along with a member of Chabad Lubavitch in Melbourne, would you believe? Look up the documentary In the Realm of the Hackers, and that will tell you a lot.
You combine that with Intel CPU flaws, which are so incredibly important to understand, you understand why Netanyahu released that information. He's saying, you better shut your mouth to the corporate world, to the government world, because we've kill switched you. Ladies and gentlemen.
Come on, people. Klaus Schwab, cyber pandemic, it's all here, it's all going to come out. Remember where you heard it first. And the reason I say that is not for my ego. I'm on the run with 3 warrants for my arrest. I've lost my career as a comprehensive registered nurse. I've lost everything. Had my bones broken. I took on organised crime. I took on the corrupt prison system. You name it. All right? And you mean to say that I run around the countryside? I get asylum in Iran. I'm constantly backstabbed. I'm constantly... I have to stop because everything you see is a fucking lie. The entire Muslim world is full of shit. They've been, all of them, Iran included, has been working at the top levels. At the top levels, they are all direct employees, literal employees of the corporation of Rothschild. Their job is to keep people quiet and sitting on their backsides and eating and shitting and fucking and shutting up, letting them let off some steam until they get the robots and drones and the UN smart cities. And they'd lock them in, and then the gloves come off, then the vaccines start, and then it's all over. And that's what we need to worry about. This is about time, not about my ego. Yes, I want some recognition, because I get recognition, I get some standing. I get some standing, I can get a lawyer. And if you want to see what's been done to me, I've got lawyers on record, on film, on video, with links. I'm scared, Brendon. I'm really, really scared. I'm scared of Israel.
Now, this here is, we're going to talk about, this is Kevin Foley. Now, Kevin is a good guy. He's retiring. He's a high-level instructing solicitor in Australia. In our system, when you go to the High Court or in an indictable offence in a district court, you will often have, but not always, but certainly in the High Court you will, an instructing solicitor who organises the brief and then presents it to the Queen's Counsel or High Court Appeals barrister. All right. Now, we had an agreement. Kevin, you have to have an instructing solicitor. And Kevin is one of the most respected in Australia. He's basically retired. He's 80 years old here. And you're going to hear him say how scared he is of Israel. It was an hour and a half, 1 hour, 18 minutes Skype recording. And you're going to hear him say, I'm scared of Israel. And he says, they're going to shaft you, Brendon. Now, he was not going to do the brief. It was passed directly. All the information was passed directly to the QC, who is Anthony Morris, who shafted me. He's well known, high level, Queen's Counsel, Senior Counsel in Queensland, and he was handling the case. We'd had $22,000 in Bitcoin sent. I believe that came from Ernst Sundel. He was dead a week later, and his wife died 2 months later. And now we also had Germa Rudolph willing to do a sworn affidavit because they'd raised matters of the Holocaust. I didn't even want to get into the Holocaust, but in court they kept raising the Holocaust. So I said, they raised the Holocaust, fine, let's have Germa Rudolph do a sworn affidavit. And Germa Rudolph agreed to do a sworn affidavit. Now he's shitting himself and asked me not to contact him.
It seems to me that from what I've seen, they'll stop at nothing to try and cut it off. Well, that's a matter that concerns me.
Yeah, they're saying, well, that's a matter that concerns me. This is a high-level, very, very astute instructing solicitor. I'm fucking scared, Brendon. Think about this. That's not me saying this. This is a high-level, highly respected instructing solicitor. He's worked in the British High Court saying, I'm scared of Israel, Brendon. I'm scared for my safety. I am scared for the safety of my staff.
It does concern me, that. That's a bit of a worry.
Well, there's the thing about being...
Well, I'm very worried about it, actually.
I'm very worried about my safety taking on the Israeli state. That's not me saying that. That's instructing solicitor Kevin Foley, one of the most highly respected instructing solicitors in Australia.
I'm deeply worried about it. That's the problem.
I'm deeply worried about that. This is all part of my UN refugee application. They don't want to look at it. That's why Cynthia McKinney toddled over and said, I'll see if I can get you permanent residency in Malaysia. Yeah, in a country that's deep in bed with China. And what do? I make money enough to live by hanging shit on Israel and exposing this shit and exposing China. But you have to expose China. What am I meant to do, Cynthia? Did you think it through? But I want you to have a look at that. You say I've got no case with the UNHCR? You've got to be kidding me. I know exactly how the UNHCR refugee applications work. All right? I've got everything documented. I have tried everything to sort this out. You should be, but I do believe there's enough government backing. There are, like I said, in private, everyone was on my side, in private. That's what I mean. Jewish communities around the world, wake the F up. Wake up. Everybody shook my hand. Police, prison officers, lawyers. I mean, lawyers were stopping me in the street. The security guards in the courts, district court, magistrates court, the people I spoke to at the counters. Hey, good on you, mate. Do you understand? Fucking Jews are fucking thanking me. Don't you get it? You people live in your little castle with everyone telling you what you want to hear. You don't realize what's going on. That's the job of Adam Green and the white nationalist movement, to terrorize them and make sure they never get comfortable and start working with us. Everybody. Look, they sent a little emissary from the department to say, Brendon, these things are handled quietly. That's the official designation of the Foreign Office. These things are handled quietly, which I didn't accept, seeing as they stuck me on the front pages of newspapers and on Current Affair and did everything to destroy me. I wasn't willing to accept to go quietly. Kept locking up.
Yeah, see, what I'm deeply concerned about, I'm not worried about even.
Oh, now we get interference in that signal. Sorry, you're breaking up. It's
this is what I'm worried about. Yeah, I'm concerned about some violence to me.
I'm concerned about violence to me, meaning from Israel, from Jewish groups. We talked about Chabad Lubavitch before, the lunatic, racist cult gangsters. That's Kevin Foley, so I'm concerned about violence to me.
It's quite frequent.
Yeah. Well, would you agree an email or some communication? Again, it's different when I email and someone like you. I mean, I'm the mentally ill lunatic, which they are trying to make me, and succeeding. But to come from you and Mr. Morris, I mean, that's big in and of itself.
That's huge. You won't hear a peep anywhere. You won't hear my name mentioned anywhere. You won't hear a major player say it anywhere. Whitney Webb's getting mentioned by Joe Rogan's friends. You're not going to see me on Joe Rogan. All right? You're going to have to work out that the internet is a complete and utter fucking fake. Let's keep going. You understand my case. You will understand how fake the fucking internet is.
Short 15 minutes, the Tolpiot program. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and please donate. And please go to my Patreon account where I really want to focus my...
At that stage, Patreon wouldn't even work. Couldn't even get any money. Let's find Daniel Lewin. Well, actually, let's watch this bit here. You're going to see Asaf Rappaport, the CEO of Microsoft. I got him fired. Me, no one else. I did say we because I thought it would sound good that there was a group of us. No, I had to go and do it. I got every Department of Homeland Security, every security infrastructure, FBI field headquarters, and emailed them about Asaf Rappaport, Israeli military intelligence, the Tolpiot program. And a month later, Asaf Rappaport was unceremoniously dumped in December 2019 from the head of Microsoft Israel. Watch this.
Long years. These graduates go on to own and create and run their own companies. Many end up as the heads of corporations such as Microsoft in Israel.
You understand that guy? It's Israeli Military Intelligence, Unit 8200 and the Tolpiot program. So he's now running the cloud security for the Pentagon cloud. Actually, no, he's starting up his own. He's back in the news doing something else. So they recreated a talking head. So there's a new talking head. Most people don't even know that Microsoft Israel runs Microsoft. They run your Windows, they do your updates, your security center. It's all Israeli. All Russian GRU assets, half of them. Can you believe that? Who told you that? I told you that. Did I get any credit? I got no fucking credit. The talking heads are controlled opposition. They are controlled opposition. They are controlled opposition. They are limited hangouts. Limited. Whitney comes over and flops her boobies out and goes, look over here, boys. Look over here. Look over here. Metaphorically speaking, because she ain't got much in that department. But that's all right, Whitney. I like the librarian look. It's okay. I was just being a smart ass. But the point is to get your attention and then never go full with the sex and then the baby. The full result is the baby. The two things coming together, copulating and making a baby. She just comes out, hangs the boobies out, gets your attention, but never comes through with the end result. That is a coherent narrative. You're not getting it. Well, there's a reason for that. They don't want you to have the coherent narrative because then, well, multiple reasons. One is the good guys there have to explain to everyone how they allowed this to happen, and they're all going to lose their jobs, and they're all trying to just fix it without hoping anyone notices. I'm sorry, boys, but you're going to lose your jobs.
Perhaps to really understand the power of Telpiot in a shorter time as possible, we should study one man, Zohar Zissapel.
Harass the hell out of Whitney Webb and say, hey Whitney, when are you going to talk about Zohar Zissapel, Rad Group, all the critical infrastructure that Klaus Schwab says he's going to switch off when the time is right? Like very soon, like any day.
And one company, Rad Group. Zissapel was one of the original graduates of the Telpiot program. When I found...
That's not technically not true. He was one of the founders they don't talk about. He was the granddaddy who went into that. But he's literally a graduate because he's come out of the same milieu. He's come out of the same background. He just formalized, he and his friends, including Dotham, Felix Dotham and Rafi Itan. Not the Rafi Itan Mossad, the other General Rafi Itan.
This Information Underground article on a forum...
And this is where it all started for me. Again, go and watch the whole video in full, but this is where it all started. This is a 2008 article. Or was it 2005? But I read it in late 2008. This is what put me onto the whole damn thing.
2007, I also found this BDS article on Telpiot. Now let's understand and grasp the foundational importance of the Telpiot program from this short article in an online Israeli journal.
Again, go and watch it yourself. Let's find Daniel Lewin. Actually, no, that's a lie. Let's just watch the next 5 minutes and you'll see my case. What I'm trying to do in this little section is I'm trying to make the point. I did something in Western Australia which was ignored. If I'd done it in California, it would have been front page news, bigger than Snowden, bigger than Assange. I mean it, bigger. Because unlike them, I actually talk about the key player, Dracula, Israel. Israel has its fingers on all the buttons to all your critical infrastructure. If you're using power, they got control over you. That's the point I've been trying to make. Now watch.
And directly as the reason for a friend. I add with regards to this issue that I am the only human being on the planet who has had the Israeli state name them directly as the reason for a Friends of Israel rally, held 8 days before the start of a high-profile trial on August the 8th, 2010. This Friends of Israel rally took place in Perth, Western Australia. Perhaps the Israeli ambassador, Yuval Rotem, Israeli Deputy Defence Minister, Danny Ayalon.
Deputy Foreign Minister, Danny Ayalon. This has never happened in history. Never, ever, ever has anybody had the state come out against them before a trial. It's called criminal contempt of court. It's a foreign state interfering in a trial. My lawyer was terrified, John Bowger. I guess for a lot of you, you're not politically aware. It just means nothing to you. If I gave you a Q drop, you'd probably get it. But this is the biggest case in history. It's the biggest espionage case in history, ever. I own it. You go, come on. I suggest you look up your espionage cases and you might get it. Why do you think I'm courted by high-level intelligence people? Why do you think that is?
Australian Foreign Minister Stephen Smith and 135 local and federal members of the Australian Parliament were concerned about something. Head of State Counter-Terrorism Barry Shelton had emailed me, quote, "We all respect your work," and invited me for a coffee 2 months before the rally was arranged. I wonder what we were going to talk about. Let me put what happened in the context of a Californian man going through the same 8-year torture process. We'll convert population differences between Western Australia, 2.7 million people, and California, 40 million people, into an equivalent number to make the point. Imagine Bill Smith, a native of Los Angeles, California, met an American Jewish guy who had served in the Israeli Defense Force. Imagine if this guy, we'll call him Leon Wend, had high security clearances and was installing the weapons and sensor systems on the brand new Seawolf class US Navy attack submarine.
Leon Wend, as last I heard, was working for BHP Billiton, which is the #1 target of the Chinese Communist Party. He's an Israeli Defense Force member and he's running around in these top-level positions, working for the CCP. Imagine if Leon Wend had been showing publicly hundreds of photos and video of the interior of this highly classified sub, years before any material had been released to the public. Imagine if Bill Smith made a complaint about a security breach to American authorities. Then, imagine if Bill Smith wrote about Leon Wend and his sudden move to the Israeli company Verint, a company that specialises in critical infrastructure security and data intercepts for law enforcement agencies. Now we find Leon is installing CCTV security on the Los Angeles public transport network just after the same company, Verint, had installed the same equipment in the London Tube just before the bombing in 2005. Now imagine Leon Wend makes a complaint to the Los Angeles FBI that Bill Smith was stalking him by naming him online, and Bill Smith is interviewed by counter-terrorism police. Imagine, on hearing the details of Mr. Wend and the security risk he poses, the Los Angeles FBI field office tell Mr. Bill Smith to be quiet and they would investigate. Imagine, a year or so later, Mr. Good old Brendon. Buffer away, baby. Buffer away. This is the problem with
homicide and ethnic cleansing. Mr. Smith then ends up charged for racially vilifying that man, Stanley Elliott.
See, I haven't shown you all the raid video stuff. I gave a great spiel then about Israel, Jewish racial and religious supremacism. I was saving that for the documentary, but seeing as getting a good documentary maker is like pulling teeth, they seem to be always a little bit sad and unable to do any fucking work. I'm going to actually make this video myself. It's going to be 3 50-minute episodes.
And is further charged for incitement for making extremely banal comments about Jewish power you could hear at a Professor Norman Finkelstein meeting. Imagine if Bill Smith tells police if they continue with the ridiculous charges, he will be raising matters of national security at the trial. Imagine a full-blown harassment campaign begins against Mr. Bill Smith and his friends and family. Imagine there are 4 suspicious deaths, including his sister. Imagine the head of Californian state counter-terrorism invites Bill Smith out for coffee to discuss Israeli intelligence activity, and he emails on his official police email, "We all respect your work." Imagine a few months later a rally to support the Israeli state is organised, and the Israeli ambassador to the US is there in person. The Israeli Deputy Foreign Minister is there via video link. The US Secretary of State is there in person. 100 members of Congress and the Senate are there in person, and almost the entire US political class write letters of support for the event, and 26,000 Christians and Jews from all over the US attend the event in person. A keynote speaker is the man who brought the hate speech charges against Bill Smith, Stanley Elliott Keyser. And this Friend of Israel rally is reported on by the local Jewish online journal as being directly organised in response to Mr. Bill Smith. Not only is this an obvious attempt to intimidate the state political, judicial and legal class, it is a giant international incident and violation of state-to-state relations, but you'd never know it because despite reporting the event in the local newspaper and recording footage of the event itself for all to see, no media outlet will touch it. Not even Iran Press TV, even though their senior international correspondent swore black and blue he was waiting on funding for the...
Hammy's a good guy, he really was trying. Press TV is a load of shit. It's run by you-know-whos. It's full of them. They hated my guts. We went there and had meetings and they just hated my guts, I could tell. It was a complete fraud, the whole fucking thing. Hammy told me that. He said they're a bunch of crooks. Brendon, the whole place is a backwards third world country filled with corruption and embezzling money. What are you doing there? That's why I left the first time, because Hammy was busting my balls saying they're a bunch of incompetent twats. And they are. Oh, they are fucking incompetent. Because it's not run by Iranians, I can tell you that much.
Funding that never came, but they strung me along for 2 long years. Of course, Bill Smith is me.
All right, you can go and look all that up yourself. So you go to Brendon, it's quite good. It's a good place. I think it's not too bad, and they'll stay up. There's a good chance that these will all stay up, Brendon and Rumble. So if you understand my case, if you actually understand my case, it's your case, really. And you'll understand and respect what I've accomplished. I ain't no special forces soldier. People think I get JSOC or Special Operations Command. You will contact me. And you're one of us, aren't you? You're just retired or you're undercover. You must be. You just your attitude. You're just badass. You're running around. I said, dude, I'm pissed off. I've lost everything. I've met nothing but incompetent fucking clowns.
This is about SAS Campbell Barracks, Leon Wind, Variant. Timothy, you told me that Variant does your local and national, your local police intercepts, an Israeli intelligence front.
Pop you in the car.
Yeah, I know you are, Tim. Fuck you, Tim. Okay. I'll tell you what, mate.
And I'm just sitting here going, I just want my old life back. I want to go back to nursing. Very simple. Get my permaculture farm in Esperance, Western Australia on the beautiful south coast where the water's freezing and it's often hot and the great white sharks are 15 plus feet, all of them. That's what I wanted. Understand my issue, understand how suppressed it is, and you will understand what's going on. Understand Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum and the cyber pandemic, and you'll understand why the Israeli fucking state came out against me in 2009, 2010, and 2011. And then 3 years fucking jail, beaten and bashed and suppressed and hounded and harassed with repeated police raids. Understand my story. Watch the videos. I had broken the biggest espionage case in history. I put a fucking bow on it. I even manufactured beautiful videos. I had to learn how to use the software, had to learn how to do voiceovers, had to get a foam cover for my freaking recording device. I didn't even know what I was doing. And people call me an agent of the Illuminati. I'm a plant. I'm working for this government agency. And it's just little old fucking Brendon by himself with little to no fucking help. There's clearly people opening doors and giving me a nudge and a wink along the way, clearly. And that should give you hope that the average managerial class, I can thank the Royal Malaysian Police, I can thank other members of the Malaysian military who contacted me, really nice people. Again, they're the middle managers who know what's going on. It's the effing politicians and the effing business class who are all totally corrupted. Drugs, hookers, they're on camera, they're totally corrupted. It's the people down the bottom who've been opening the doors for me along the way. It's the, all sorts of people who contact me. I don't have a lot of patience and I've had enough of the fucking internet. Watch my case, understand my case, and understand that they just deleted my YouTube account. I had nearly 20,000 subscribers and I'm never doing another YouTube account except to just toss these videos up. Go to Brendon. If you're going to quote a video, go to Brendon and Telpiot. The links are below. Let's quickly go over my UN High Court document, my UN refugee claim. You'll understand a few things just very briefly for those who don't know. And then I want you to make the connections. Then I want you to understand the grand strategy is to break the US off from Eurasia. Israel, Russia, and China and Iran will run Eurasia. North America, South America, they build local infrastructure. They build the 5G networks. They build the surveillance state. They build the UN Habitat Smart Cities program. I brought all this to you in a bow. Me, nobody else. There was a bit here and there was a bit over there, and I made it into beautiful videos to get you to fucking think. I did it. Nobody else did it. I fucking did it. With 10 people, would have been maximum 10 people sharing some links backwards and forwards. That was it. It wasn't magic. It was fucking child's play. With Google alerts, it just pops into your email every morning and everyone goes, amazing research, amazing research. I do have a little bit of a talent for making a video when I'm relaxed and my applications aren't crashing every 5 minutes. But I brought this to you. If I can do this, you can do this to a point. You got to stop being a scared little child. You got to stop trusting this online. The online is fake. It's all fake. Every last millimeter, every last drop of it is fake. It's all fake. Understand the big picture, break off North America, South America from Eurasia, set them against each other in a Cold War 2.0 that's all about technology transfer, build up the UN Habitat Smart Cities program. They want the Chinese in first, the Asians in first, rush them in, vaccinate them and kill them and cull them ASAP. They want it quick. It might be more benevolent in Europe and the UK and America and Australia, but that's the freaking goal. And then they turn the robots and drones and the 5G surveillance state on us in Agenda 2030. That's what they're doing. Cold War 2.0 is vital. The War Powers Act is vital. Report from Iron Mountain. Keep them under the War Powers Act with a continual enemy about to cut their throats. And they even said in 1967, throw in alien invasion stories, throw in the threat of war, and of course terrorism that we see today. It's all manufactured. It's all Rothschild. City of London, the Swiss Bank of International Settlements, and Israel is the command bunker, the forward firebase from which they plan all their operations from their international crime syndicate. It's very simple. You don't have to get confused. Agenda 2030 were on the way, and literally any day the power could go out. That's all they have to do. And COVID has been one giant big distraction, very easily exposed, hasn't it? Did you think about that? As you all thought how clever you were, that it was an Easter egg hunt designed to keep you busy. Did you ever think about that? This bullshit theatrical popcorn show we've got going on right now? As if Donald Trump administration runs a damn fucking thing. He sacked Henry Kissinger. I got a better idea. Someone comes and claims that they're going to clean out the swamp. When someone then employs the biggest swamp creature that ever walked the earth, who makes Soros look good, and employs Henry Kissinger, that should have just... that's just one of 50 alarm things that should have got your alarm bells going. But you sat there like dumb mullets and said, Trump's going to save us. Trump ain't saved you yet, has he? But just wait and see. Remember, Trump is the hero. Trump is a product of army intelligence. But that's Israeli army intelligence. And I said, if you educate the military, you can bring pressure to bear on his administration, and you can start getting rid of people like Jared Kushner and Benjamin Netanyahu. That's your only hope. But your default position is horseshit. It's theatrical horseshit. They are keeping you busy while Wall Street and the City of London, the banking and financial arms, their private armies, their private contractors, their private intelligence group, their private assassination squads get the business done. They may be preparing war for China, maybe Xi's out of line, or maybe it's just more theatre for us. But whatever the answer is, don't try and tactically predict this. Don't trust Trump. You don't sure as hell don't trust Biden. You don't trust any of them. You've got to educate the military, and you need to start now and stop being a little fucking child. My videos are going gangbusters around the US military bases as we speak, and not because any half-wit went out there and handed them out, is because enough of actual military people got down and started downloading and sharing them. You're going to work out just how controlled and compressed the entire internet is eventually. Let's quickly go into my UNHCR application. It's beautifully set out. It's very easy for you to navigate around. I've done main document index. I've done sub-indexes. And we'll go here to my High Court synopsis. And here is the index. This is my biggest hate speech trial in history, which none of the online clowns, none of the journalistic dissidents will even look at. That's incredible. My writing on intelligence, Israeli intelligence activity in Australia and elsewhere. This is 2012 with a badly broken arm in jail. This is where I did this. And a man named Alan Gingle, the head of the Office of National Assessments, the man who gets all the information from all the Australian intelligence agencies, US intelligence, British intelligence, and then whispers directly into the ear of the Australian Prime Minister, was sacked because of me. Because he didn't figure on China being linked in with Israel. That's why he was sacked. I laid it all out in this document, written from jail. I had military, prison officers of military, many of them retired military, were shaking my hand because they were reading my document as part of their security detail as I was typing it, one-fingered in the computer centre at Albany Regional Maximum Security Prisoner with an untreated, badly broken arm. You can't make this shit up. And they apologised to me and said, Brendon, we didn't know. We thought you were just some Nazi nut. And I said, why didn't you even look up my stuff? You could see newspaper reports saying it was ridiculous. And I said, well, we didn't look. They read this, though. Leon Wen, Collins-class submarine and other military civilian contracts. You might want to read this stuff. It's really, really, really good. I go into all the contracting systems. the working between Israel and China. This is 10 years. 10 years before anything was coming out on the news, people. Think about that. There's Leon Wen, the Sydney Rail Transit System, false flag incidences. And you can quickly flick back. Chinese company refused Australian government clearance. This is 2012. I'm typing this one-fingered. Look at this. Interestingly, the modern Chinese state under Mao was founded closely with Jewish Zionists like Sidney Rittenberg of American Military Intelligence, a linguist who was Mao's right-hand man and handler. Jewish Zionists like Frank Cohen, Shlomo Adler, Anna Louise Strong and Israel Epstein were all members of President Roosevelt's war cabinet and central to the design and founding of the Chinese Communist state. Of interest is the heavy Jewish involvement in the founding of the modern Chinese state. This is a quote from Ted C. Fishman. This is a book I found in jail and read, China Inc. The city's modern organisers were not always Europeans or Americans of the standard colonial mould. Since Shanghai's modern beginning, it was also the home of a small but extraordinary group of Jews, many from Iraq, Spain, Portugal and India, controllers of property, entertainment and financial interests. The Hadun, Kadori and Sassoon families helped create the world of Shanghai that was neither Orient or Occident. I will put the links below to Sassoon, the Rothschilds of the East. They've been in for 200 years in China. You think they just rolled up with Israel? I want you to read this from 2012, from prison. This is from prison. This is state of the art. It's like I wrote it today. Go and read it. No one reads it. Sanem, local Jews act as helpers for Israeli intelligence. Prisoner X in Sanem, Israel's non-compliance with peace process. Racism within Israeli society. Zionists control United States foreign and domestic policy. Jewish founding of the Soviet state and use of Sanems in past. Should all Jews be held accountable? Clear West Australian establishment position to stifle knowledge in the public interest of Jewish, racial and religious supremacism. Go and read this stuff. It's amazing. It's amazing. This High Court synopsis has been out since 2014. Not a fucking soul will even look at it. You'll work out what the internet is by understanding my case. This is just a quick wrap up. Remember, no one knows what's going on. It's all horseshit. This is about the City of London and Wall Street. They're reshaping America for the benefit of Israel. They're reshaping it to continue to keep people separated and arguing with each other. Libtards to the north, rednecks to the south. Industry moves south, Elon Musk and co, NASA, Israeli Space Agency, technology transfer into Israel, building greater Israel, building finally the occult homeland for Rothschild and his friends, where finally he can just let it all hang out and he doesn't have to pretend anymore, where he has robots and drones doing the dirty. No more humans. He can get rid of all the Jews that aren't working for him. He can stop having to put Jews in line because they annoy him. He wants nothing but total obedience. The elite want to rule and they can't do it unless they have robots, drones, AI, 5G and the UN Habitat Smart Cities program. I brought it all to you. And one final thing, simply go and watch video 5, Trump versus COVID 2020 and the forced economic collapse of America. Go and watch that video. The links are below and you will understand. You will understand, and you will understand how shitty, useless the internet is, how they give you little part truths along the way, but never the whole truth. Never the whole truth. You have a great day. It's an interesting time. Good luck and thanks to all those who support me. Thanks to anyone who sent me that Christmas money. That was really appreciated. I went and bought a little gadget, an M.2 solid state drive, a fair size, so I can put everything in one place. That will be a big thing for me. Just that little thing, having that very fast hard drive in my new laptop, which hopefully will be being delivered just as I fixed my old one. Would you believe? It was one line of code I had to input into the back end of the app. I said, do you mean for 3 fucking years I went through that where I was just about crying? I was literally crying, trying to video edit, and that's all it was? You gotta be fucking kidding me. I'll go into it later. For those of you who've been watching me pull my hair out and scream and yell and do backflips, I fixed it with turning true into false in the back end of the application in a special way, which I asked the owners about, and they said, you don't have to do that in this model. And then someone said, horse shit, you've got to do it. I did it and it's been running perfect. Just crashed a couple of times, but rendered perfectly. It's been the bane of my existence for over 3 years, to the point where I was literally crying. So hopefully things are going to pan out a little better. I've had to readjust. I really want nothing to do with anyone anymore. The only person I will work with is Sufyan. I will not have anything to do with anyone. I'm not doing any flyers. I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to keep plodding along, making some videos, keeping you informed as far as I can, doing some very high quality videos. And I'm now going to move into the Second World War history and put them off YouTube. And we're going to be having some very frank conversations with some of the people I talk to. We'll call him the tame Nazi. We're going to have a conversation with a student of Julius Evola's Sacred Tradition and National Socialism. And I'll show you what a real white nationalist looks and sounds like, opposed to these American fucking pieces of garbage sellouts. And I am not a white nationalist. I believe in the US Constitution. There's nothing about race. It's nothing about color of your skin or whether you're fat or skinny. It's about freedom. But that doesn't mean you have to like that. So I say go to fucking Europe and have at it and knock yourselves out. But I want America, baby. I want a place where it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic background. It doesn't matter the color of your fucking skin. All that matters is that you love freedom and you respect that for other people, so that you can innovate. You can bring what you have inside you. You can actualize it. You can, as Abraham Maslow said, self-actualize. As our little friend Carl Jung, who we're going to be talking more about in the future, says, you can individuate. The acorn can become an oak and not a donkey. The reason you're on this planet is to follow the promptings of the Holy Spirit and your archetypal structure, so that you can be you. And when you are happy, you're filled with joy, and you're filled with love, and you respect other people. And that is the magic behind the political document called the US Constitution, which Americans can't wait to fucking throw out the door, seemingly real quick. But let's see. Let's fight on. God bless you. Let's talk soon, and don't believe a fucking word you see online. No one knows what's going on. Just keep your head, prepare, have some backup food, have a little generator. You lucky Americans, you've got firearms, you can defend yourself. How lucky are you? Give my right leg to be in the United States. I'd be in a prepping community. I'd be involved in a militia. I'd be involved in my local politics. I'd be taking coffees and donuts to my local sheriff and making sure he's friends. I'd be doing all the things you could have been doing in America, and all you want to do is ask me, where should I run to? I said, you're in America. You're in the land of the free, baby. You stand and fight right where you are, because you ain't going to fight in Sweden. And let me assure you, if you want to get rid of the UN's Constitution and turn into national socialists or limited republics based on a monarchical system with Prince Charles telling you what to do, I think it's time you packed up and got out so I can move in. Talk soon.